All right. Give me a wave or something when you're ready. You look very lovely. I like I'm digging the hair. I'm sad that the audience can't see the hair. You know what I mean? It's all right. I just wait for the music that come and I go when I want to. You know what I'm saying? All right. You just look really cute. I'm just gonna say that. Yeah, I can't hear you. Will you unmute yourself? What? What's all this waving?
You're live.
I'm live. Hey everybody! This is Jay Zilla. This is the What the FRAP podcast. Okay, I'm doing this show with my wife. This beautiful podcast. I'm very nervous. It's been a while. I got nice and rough. All right, I'm doing this show with my beautiful wife and producer Ashley Bells. Go ahead and say hi.
Hello.
Anyway, tonight we have the great Mayor Chaz Motor. He's going to be talking a little bit about what the FRAP does, what the FRAP wants us to do, and what the FRAP his future plans for the city of Columbia, Tennessee are. Yeah, so we're going to start the show real quick before we do it. Okay? Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, and then we'll get this thing started. What the FRAP podcast is coming at you in 3, 2, like and share.
At least 26 people have been killed.
Military and intelligence experts are still assessing the fallout from a major leak of Pentagon.
Next to the fentanyl crisis wreaking havoc in communities across the country. As the most recent mass shootings in Nashville and Louisville prompt protests and public.
A knock on the wrong door. Farmington police ended with deadly consequences. Hey, hands up!
Crazy. And there he is in all of his glory. Mayor Chaz Motor, thank you for joining the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Jay Zilla. I'm glad to be here.
All right. Look at that. He's good. He's a pro. What the FRAP is going on over there? Okay. So,
Sorry.
see, I wish you could be on the screen just so I can take you off the screen right now. Anywho, so look, let's get right into it. What is a mayor? What do you do? Like, I'm imagining like you eat chips, right? You got your pajama bottoms on. You're just roaming around the mayor's mansion. Do y'all have a mayor's mansion? Is it a house? Please educate me.
Well, the mayor's job is a very diverse job because really no day is the same. There's always something that's different. At the end of each week, I look back and think about all the many different things that happened during the week, and no day is the same. I feel like the biggest job of the mayor is to be a cheerleader for their city and their community. I am a big promoter of the city of Columbia. I recognize that we're not perfect, but we have a lot of good things going for it. And I like to promote and the good and find the good and praise it, as Alex Haley used to say. And that's what I feel like my primary job is.
Oh man, he's breaking out Alex Haley early on. Okay, so you like to be a cheerleader of the city of Columbia. Where's your Spring Hill gear? Where is your Mount Pleasant gear? Not Mount Pleasant. Like, what's going on, man? What are you wearing? What is this?
Well, what I'm wearing is Memphis Grizzly gear. It's playoff season for NBA basketball, as you may know, and the Grizzlies lost game 1, but we're looking forward to picking up game 2, and I have no worry. We're going to be fine. It's a 7-game series against the Lakers. LeBron is going to be dethroned by Ja Morant, and Jaren Jackson Jr. was named today the Defensive Player of the Year for the association, rightfully so. So don't even get me started on the Grizzlies. I could talk about it all night, but I am Columbia gear through and through. I went to Columbia Central High School, Whitthorne Middle School, McDowell Elementary School. So my heart and loyalty is in Columbia. With that said, I am someone that firmly believes that what's good for Spring Hill is good for Columbia. What's good for Mount Pleasant is good for Columbia. And we are stronger when we're united and have good relationships with the mayors of Spring Hill and Mount Pleasant and the mayor of Murray County. So while my loyalty may be to Columbia, I'm a team player and I'm rooting for everybody.
I love it. You talking about just really, that's a presidential candidate. I'm going to veer off topic here. You running for president? Yes or no?
The The answer to that question is an emphatic no. I was trying to think of something creative, and I just totally failed on that. To say something like, keeping all options open, or I need to consult my wife and kids. But in reality, I'm not even going to do that to you. It's an emphatic.
Okay. Emphatic no. Okay. So my idea of what a mayor does, especially in major cities, we had a situation here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I invited our guests and our audience to kind of flood his email, right, his inbox, to get some sort of thing done, put some pressure on the police chief and some other things. Is that within your purview to be able to? Are you technically the police's boss? Like, where do you fall in the hierarchy there?
And that's actually a great question. That's one of the more common misunderstandings, because it's true. A lot of people, when they think of the mayor of the city, they think, well, he can solve that problem, or he can go and fix the problem immediately. And while the mayor certainly has significant influence within city government, it is truly a part-time mayor role. We are a city manager form of government. So our city manager is actually over the day-to-day responsibilities of city government. City manager hires and fires and has direct oversight of all of the personnel through department heads. So I don't have that type of authority. My authority is more in the influence, and certainly the city manager reports to the mayor. But with respect to directing what the police chief is to do or to not do, I don't have that kind of oversight or authority.
That's amazing. So we're going to get into a serious topic pretty early here. The tragedy that Nashville, Tennessee went through, and that's going on in Kentucky. And now, what's the other one? Alabama. Right. Talk a little bit, because I know you have 3 beautiful children, right, who are 12, 9, and 6. How does that affect you as a parent first? And then what does that make you want to do in the community?
Well, my decisions as mayor are influenced in large part by the fact that I am a dad and a husband first. And this Nashville tragedy at Covenant Presbyterian is one that I had a sort of a special connection to. I was in the same fraternity at UT with the senior pastor at Covenant Pres. And if you may know, the senior pastor is also one of the individuals who lost their 9-year-old daughter in that tragedy. So it was something, I think, we hear about these all the time across the country, far too common. But when it happens, in basically the major city, of which Columbia is within the metropolitan area, it really hits home. And then when it happens to someone that you happen to know, even from a distance, it hurts even more. And so certainly our hearts and prayers have been with everyone in the Nashville community. Had an opportunity to meet one of the officers with Metro PD who was the first responding on the scene. And you've probably seen the video for their response and the professionalism and the lives that they saved and the way that they handled that, which was just by the book to the absolute T. But more importantly is to not get lost in the fact that once, time passes, we forget about these things. And I really believe that in this country, we've got to do some things. If we want to say that we're pro-life, then let's show up by being pro-kid and making sure we're keeping our kids safe. And I think there's some things that can and should be done, especially if you look at some common themes in the last several mass shootings, that the individuals that purchased guns legally, but that did not have any reason, legal, constitutional, or otherwise, to be able to carry a gun, given other challenges mentally that they were facing. And so I think that we've got to put some reasonable safeguards in place. Over 80% of the country agrees, and we got to quit letting small interest groups hold hostage the safety of our kids. And I'm a strong advocate for that very message.
So I have a question for you, Mayor Chas. So you mentioned before that really your purview isn't really over like the police chief, and really your area of expertise is the influence that you have in some of those areas, but it's not really your job to kind of tell them what to do. What would you suggest people do? Because, usually the response is, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to protest and we're going to do things like that, but it oftentimes doesn't result in a lot of change. What would you say is the most effective way that citizens can use their citizenship to basically voice their concerns or affect real change?
Well, one thing I'll harken back to for Colombia that was really an example, in my opinion, for the entire country was, if you may recall, during the police brutality and with the George Floyd case, um, less than 5 years ago, there was significant, rightfully so, uproar in this country over the way that George Floyd was brutally murdered. Protests all across the country, some of which ended up being more of a rioting and some of the bad things that go along with it, and looting and just unrest in the communities. But in Columbia, Tennessee, we had an event where literally protesters and our police department officers walked arm in arm across the bridge to an event, sort of protesting peacefully and showing all the world who would watch that, we can figure out a way to figure this out, and we can set an example. And so that was an example in Columbia how citizens really, rallied and didn't realize that they were going to have police officers that are right there along their side. And so I think anytime we use our voice, I mean, really and truly, yes, I am the mayor and I have an influence over some of these things that is a heightened influence. It's the bully pulpit, so to speak. Everybody has influence, no matter whether or not you're the mayor or whether or not you're a citizen in the community. But using your voice in a way that it's effective is oftentimes the most difficult challenge. And to answer your question, I think it's organizing, having people together. When you have more than one, you have a crowd, using your social media influence, doing it in a respectful way, though. That's one of the things I find, that there's just so much toxicity on social media when it comes
Mm-hmm.
issues. And so not feeding into the frenzy of, oh, you know what, if I say something really mean and controversial, it's probably going to get a lot of likes and a lot of shares. At the end of the day, that shouldn't be the prism we look at this through. We need to find reasonable voices out there that are willing to stand up and make sure people know that, look, the majority of the country, for example, thinks that there's some things that can be done to help curb mass shootings, especially with regards to schools and young children.
Mm-hmm.
Or the majority of the country believes that, what you're seeing on with the George Floyd was not right, and so let's figure out a way to call that out. And really, however you look at it, there's ways to do it, and I think that finding that influence is an important task for everybody.
So there is a guy there in Columbia. He played, I'm pretty sure, at Columbia Central, and had some time at Ole Miss. Isaiah Smith. He's got the still motivated group now. I believe he's rebranding. We had a conversation, and I asked him, "Hey, could schools just hire a team like you to just be armed security, like not SRO officer? I mean, like get our vets involved, get some guys who do consistent training involved. Is that something that we could do?" And he says, possibly, but schools can't afford that, which really broke my heart, right? Because I'm thinking, I don't care who's involved. Like when we're talking about the protections of our children, like it should not come with a price tag. Sorry, that this measure costs too much, that measure costs too much. So how do you incentivize? I don't know if it's higher taxes or getting people to donate somewhere. Like what can, if anything, be done? And then how do we get the citizens to pay for it gladly?
Well, every school in Murray County does have an SRO officer, and so first of all, we were actually the first school system in the state of Tennessee that was able to say that every one of our public schools has a uniformed armed officer inside the building. But honestly, I'll sort of play a little bit of devil's advocate of that. I don't think necessarily that the solution is putting more armed guards in our schools. I don't think that the solution is necessarily arming our teachers with weapons. Schools were not made to be fortresses. Teachers were not made to be law enforcement officers that should know how to utilize weapons. That schools were made to educate our children and train the future generations for the challenges ahead. And so I would prefer to see that we look at the root of the problem on the mass shootings, whether it be Figuring out how these people are getting access to guns, whether it be putting in reasonable background checks or some type of safety protocols prior to them accessing these large weaponries capable of mass, murder. And
Right.
so, to me, perhaps that's one of the pieces to the puzzle is looking at increased school security, even a presence of more guards. But I don't know that that's what I think we need to be talking about first. I think let's get to the root of the problem. We'll have a wider effective rate.
I like that. So that's going to take a lot of work. And I love the idea of all of us kind of rolling our sleeves up to make sure that we're all pitching in to do that. Me as a Christian, I'm looking at things through a Christian lens. And I know everyone doesn't, share my beliefs or values, but I do feel like we could get to a point to where we can have a free exchange of ideals, and that may make for a more positive ideology, because you're talking about SRO officers and things of that nature, and I'm looking at it as what makes a child want to do that in the first place, or an adult. I think we need to look more at the heart of things, more at the the mental health side of things. So what's one thing that you're suggesting that we do? Like, how do we parents talk to our children to make sure they can feel that, I guess, love and support or whatever, so they don't have to feel like grabbing a gun and going to shoot up a school is the answer to any problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think most of these that you see, there is a significant mental health challenge that person has been facing, which is why I think that one of the easy solutions here is, hey, look, if you want to purchase a weapon that's capable of multiple rounds a second, then you need to go through this application here that can give some insight to your background and to your medical history before you have that weapon. That is a reasonable safeguard that can be put in place prior to having that weapon in the first place. And then looking also is what you see in Tennessee is just almost an emphasis on, wanting to have permitless carry and wanting to have open carry and constantly just trying to sort of, move the goalpost with respect to the openness and availability of these. So I think that's something else is look, you can be pro Second Amendment, but still be pro saving lives and saving children. You look at the death rate among our children. It's these mass murders that are now the leading cause beyond other health issues. So in any event, I do think that the mental health challenge is one that seems to be the one that most people can agree on. And you're right, there are a lot of differences of opinion, but I'm a believer in finding common ground and collaborating and figuring out where we are united instead of where we're divided. And I think that the background check is one of those areas where there's a lot of unity on, and that's one thing that we should move forward with.
All right. So I've got a few rapid fire questions, okay?
Okay.
So just gear in here, okay? Nas or Jay-Z?
Jay-Z.
Tupac or Notorious B.I.G.?
Tupac.
Eazy-E or Dr. Dre?
Dr. Dre.
Nice. That was a fast one right there. What? Oh,
First two are a little more difficult.
The first two a little more difficult. Okay.
Michael Jordan or Kobe? MJ. All day. But I do love Kobe.
Oh, producer, get him out of here. Listen. When we're at the mayor's office, I don't go in there and start writing policy. You don't dadgum start giving me scenarios. Go ahead, bring him back, producer. I think he's learned his lesson. My goodness.
I violated the rules of decorum. Please don't kick me off.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for communicating that, sir. Okay. Disney or what's the other one?
What other one?
That's a pop quiz, wife.
There is no other one.
Wife, that gummit. What are you saying?
There's only Disney.
There is not only. Okay, I see what she's doing. She's doing a thing there. There's only Disney.
I'm pretty sure Disney owns us. We just haven't found out yet.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to find a Mickey Mouse stamp somewhere. So, all right, what would you say your biggest accomplishment so far as mayor been?
Well, I spoke to a group today, um, and we talked about some highlights over the last several years. One in which includes over the last 4 years, we've seen our employees at the City of Columbia, their salary has increased a collective 22.5% over a 4 year period. That's something I'm really proud about. Our city employees are our greatest resource, and we have to make sure we protect and take care of them. We've had years of record revenue in the city of Columbia over the last several years, and last year, in a year of record revenue, we actually cut expenses. It's not something you see with government very often. And generally speaking, the more revenue you have, the more money you're wanting to spend. But I think we've shown a lot of fiscal restraint in the way that we handle the budget, and I think that's something I'm very proud of as well. But I think overall, what I'm most proud about is that I feel as though I have been a mayor for everyone. And whether or not you're young or old, black or white, male or female, I am someone that is representative of all people. And I go to the schools often. I go as many times as I can, and I see these young kids looking at me, and I realize that I'm the closest to their age than any mayor that's ever been in the city of Columbia. When I spend time with friends on Mule Day in the East Side. Not a whole lot of mayors have spent time on the East Side of Mule Day, but I go not because I have any obligation to go, but because I've got friends over there. Or when I go spend time in the Senior Citizen Center with some folks who are in their 90s who I've known my entire life because I grew up here. No matter where I am, I feel as though I'm able to connect with folks in a way because I feel an obligation to them to being representative of all people for everyone. And so that's what I think my biggest accomplishment would be.
That's incredible, especially in a world where, hey, we just don't have enough, pay more taxes. Hey, we don't have enough, we don't have enough. You somehow, along with your team there and the residents of Columbia, actually had a record in revenue, and then also you cut the expenses. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to do that in our house. And when I say I'm talking to my wife there. What, right? Wife?
Yep.
she's good about that. So, oh man, and I love your mentioning of the East Side. Shout out to Mount Lebanon Missionary Baptist Church. That's the church that her grandfather, my wife, presided over for many, many years. And of course, we live right there on good old fashioned East 8th Street.
All right.
Now, so one of the questions I get with Meal Day every year is the police presence. Is that tactical? If so, like what kind of goes into the plans there that makes, I don't know, that kind of drives those numbers up? It's on the East Side.
The police presence in the East Side on Mule Day, is that the question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's funny. It's before I was mayor. I'm not real sure that I understood sort of the background or the significance of that. And one of the things I've learned over the years is when you have a large number of people that are gathering at a public event, safety becomes a very big concern. And for example, and I've heard from some folks on Facebook on this in the last couple of days, Cars and Coffee this past weekend, which is basically East 7th down to, Woodland, down to East 8th even, all the way to, further on down East 7th. All of a sudden that event is just like, this past weekend, I think there were thousands of people there, and it's a safety concern. And we didn't have really any police presence. So folks were asking, well, why wouldn't you do that? But you do on Mule Day. And I think they're exactly right. I think that event has now gotten to the point where police presence is needed from a safety perspective, just like on the Mule Day event in the East Side. I was over there, spent some time over there 3 weeks ago on Mule Day, and there are a lot of people and folks that want to be on the street, and it sort of becomes almost like a block party. I actually happen to think it's a really cool deal.
Yeah, man.
And so when you have that, it's just a safer environment for streets to be closed off, no vehicle traffic, and sort of have a barricaded area that within that area is a safe area for folks to walk around and do their thing. And so that's what I think it's there for, what it's designed to do. And I think it's been a pretty good coexistence. I mean, I know when I walked up onto 3 officers ordering some fish sandwiches. So,
Hey.
I knew that they were doing what they needed to be doing if they're getting some fish sandwiches over there on Mule Day for sure.
Amen to that. Man, I miss it. I plan on never missing another one. I miss it dearly. Staying with the Mink Slide area over there, there's a museum on East. I believe it's the Columbia Peace and Justice Museum. Do I have that name right?
Yes.
Is it in development? Is it open? And
it's in the works. There's some significant planning that has gone into it. It's a cause that I'm myself deeply interested in and want to see it come to fruition, and working on some things as we speak. Actually, hopefully the next time I'm on your show, I'll be able to give you some more public news on that. But I've had some conversations with that for a number of years now, and I think what is to come there is going to be a really good outcome, and I'm excited about it.
Love it, love it. So, sorry, having some buffering issues over here. Prince or Michael Jackson?
Prince.
Eminem, Machine Gun Kelly.
I had to kick him off.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, I had to kick him off.
What did he do? He said because Prince. You got to forgive him. Like, let him back on. He asked nicely not to be kicked back off, wife.
Let me say this about Prince. So I had my 10th grade criminal justice teacher, who is one of the reasons that I went to law school, was none other than Garland Brown. And some of your listeners may know Garland Brown. He's a longtime friend of mine. And Garland Brown is the biggest Prince fan I know. Walk into the classroom, he would have some Prince music videos of concerts from the late 70s. And, I didn't appreciate Prince then. I'll have to admit, once Prince died, I began to appreciate him and learn more about him. But that Prince over Michael Jackson was a nod to my good friend Garland Brown.
Let it be clear, I love Prince also, but Michael Jackson's that dude. I'm just saying, like, he literally created a whole music genre. I'm just saying.
Conventional wisdom is that, me being a kid of the 80s, I would have gone with Michael Jackson as well instead of Prince. But I threw you for a little bit of a loop there and went with Prince.
I like it. Purple Rain, all that. All right. Taylor Swift or Kanye West?
That is so easy for me. So easy. You're talking to a man who has gone to one Taylor Swift concert and who is scheduled to go to one in about a month. Less than. I'm trying to let Taylor know that we want her to be the Grand Marshal of the Mule Day Parade in Columbia, Tennessee.
Come on.
Anything we can do to get Taylor to come down to Columbia while she's in Nashville for her 3-day concert. And so all that to say, I'm also a dad of a Swiftie, my 12-year-old.
They're dangerous, man.
Taylor Swift over just about anybody these days.
Nice. Hank Williams Sr. or Hank Williams Jr.?
I don't even.
It's one of those media gotcha questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Junior.
Boo! You gotta go with the old school for your next interview. Go old school, man.
All right, next time.
There you go. So one of the things that we like to do here is we try to look at things from both sides of the coin. How do you, in your job, kind of soothe the people as well as people who may be supporters or that are in your, is it called a cabinet for a mayor?
Well, we have a city council.
Council. So how do you soothe the council members and your constituents there?
Well, I mean, that is the challenge. I mean, and that's one of the things I think about being the mayor that is the most sort of, day-to-day challenge is just trying to keep everybody happy and recognizing that you're not going to always please everybody. You're going to make people disappointed. I mean, unfortunately, in this job, I've lost dear friends over the way, or decisions that have happened with the city that I may or not even have had any direct sort of responsibility for. But
Right.
and being the mayor of Columbia is also a nonpartisan office, so I do not run as under the guise of a political party. And sometimes the things that I say or do, makes Republicans happy. Sometimes it makes Republicans mad, and same thing for Democrats. I mean, I don't look at it under a political prism, which I think allows me to bring a little bit more, cohesiveness and cooperation to the table. It's the same reason I talk about this toxicity on social media. I mean, I try to be positive and promote the good, find the good instead of focus on negative or constantly bringing politics into everything that we do. And so I think
Right.
set an example of positivity and understanding. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have different opinions. That's what makes this country great. Unfortunately, we live in a world where we seem to be so let's get in our little corner on what we believe when it comes to something that's political, and let's just don't allow anybody else in unless they think the same way. And if they don't think
Right.
like us, then they don't know what they're talking about. No, you know what? Like Howard Baker used to say, the other side could be right. Let's bring everybody's opinions in, and we'll be better off for it in the end. And so that's sort of how I take my approach in trying to bring everybody together.
Right. Right. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you here. I didn't really catch any of that. Your hair is magnificent. Like, what kind? And that's showbiz. That's exactly what happens. You didn't like my hair question?
No, not at all. So I'm gonna try to get Mayor Chaz back.
You work on that, but I'm saying
No, that was ridiculous.
what happened. Like,
Because
I think people.
that was rude.
What? I was just being honest. He was giving a real answer.
You didn't listen to anything you said. You were being very, very rude.
Yeah.
And there are more important things. He's a mayor. He's got better
Yeah.
things to do than talk about his hair.
But he's a mayor too. I think people want to know about the
Okay.
man,
See,
especially
you
the
know what?
hair.
I'm gonna keep.
Yeah, and all that jazz. All that jazz. So we're just gonna be doing some. Here's what we call in the business, right? So for someone who is going to run for office or anything like that, you need to know how to filibust. And what you do in the filibust is exactly what I'm doing now. You just keep talking. Things happen, technical difficulties. I see CNN going through the same thing. So why would this little outfit not have the same issues? We're gonna try to get Mayor Chaz back, and don't be afraid to get in those comments if you have questions yourself for the mayor. Now he doesn't know this because my next question, we're gonna re-ask that question of why he wanted to become mayor, and then we're going to ask him what his wife thought about him becoming mayor, because I am about to take a very huge step. And Only in America. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Hey, there we go. So I was just simply telling people about me running for president of the United States. Any advice you can give me?
Raise a lot of money, and
Money.
then instead of running, decide not to run and go do something else. Now, I don't know. You beats me. Once you figure it out, let me know. Maybe I'll follow your lead.
Let me ask you this. Are you okay with being my vice president?
Absolutely.
Hey, that's a verbal contract, right? We can sue him for libel if he tries to back out later, right?
My recommendation is a great divorce attorney.
Okay, so which brings us to our question. So my wife, when I made this decision, I'm quite serious about this too, sir. Stay tuned. It's going to get pretty crazy. No, we drop out if you kick all of us out.
So can you hear us?
I'm here.
So I think it's something with me. You can't hear me. So question for you.
Heavy lies the crown, wife.
Anyway, what made you decide to become mayor?
Well, I grew up in Columbia, and I feel as though being the mayor of your small town, hometown, is a pretty cool gig to have, and the opportunity presented, and having 3 kids who are young, who are growing up here, who want this place to be better, who provide me daily motivation to be better in all things, including a mayor. The timing just was sort of right, and so we ran 4 years ago, and we were successful. And then we ran for re-election this past year, and was also successful in for a second term, which we've just begun. And we have a lot of momentum, and think that things will continue to move forward in a positive direction over the next 4. But running for public office is not easy, and
Right.
especially if you're younger, and especially if you have young children. And so hopefully we're setting an example to those who may be watching. That it can happen. You can do it. It's not easy, but normally things that are worth doing are not going to be easy. And so we happen to believe that this was our moment to serve, and we're going to do our best while we have the opportunity.
That's crazy. So no threats of divorce, and why would you want to do this, Chaz? Just be a banker, Chaz. None of this?
No, my wife, she's very supportive and
Very supportive.
definitely.
Say that again.
And it's also a package deal. She's my number one critic, but also number one fan. And most things that I say or do are generally run through her first.
Oh my goodness. Hold on. There she goes. Well, like, why are you spelling so hard over there? Like, we need a camera in the studio so they can see all the looks that I have to deal with throughout a broadcast. Nothing to say?
I'm good. You heard the man.
Running through the wife. So this idea of I don't know. So the idea of me running for president. So I don't plan on getting very far. I think it would be quite sad if people were to vote me as a president of the United States with my lack of experience and my many, many skeletons in my closet. Sorry, wife. I do love you though. So my ideal is to really expose how this process works, the paperwork, what's the criteria, right? And I want to start speaking more to the youth, the children, because I feel like there's a bunch of us 30, we'll say 35 and up year olds who are just set in our ways, and we feel like, yeah, we kind of get it. I get it. And so it's really hard to talk to, people my age or older. So I really want to start doing things to reach the youth and prepare them to be able to knock some of these geezers out of office. So, hopefully we can start to see some real change. I know I can say that you can't, but yeah, I think we need a refresher.
Yeah, I believe it's a moment in time for our generation to step up to the plate. I'm a believer in term limits. I think that it's
Mm.
many people get elected and get consumed with the power and prestige that they believe they have with public office. And look, at the end of the day, I'm not discriminatory when it comes to anything. On the one hand, on the other hand, if you're closer to 90 years old,
Mm-hmm.
there's probably at some point in time that you need to come to the realization, what, even if I still feel like I am still capable,
Right.
other people out there, let's give them a chance who are in sort of their prime of their careers and their lifetime. And so we've got far too many people that have served for longer than I've even been alive, and I'm almost 40 this year. I'll be 40. So
Mm-hmm.
it is time for our generation to step up to the plate and start saying that publicly, and more importantly, starting to run for office, because until they start running for office, they're never going to start making any inroads on getting
Right.
elected.
So I was going to say, I totally agree with you, because it seems, so not an age, discriminationist, but it does seem that for some of our elected officials, especially as they're older, they're literally shaping a world that they're not going to be a part of.
Right.
That they're not going to have to deal with any of the fallout or any of the reckoning, or even have to experience how it does or does not impact the citizenry. So, question for you: do you think that you plan to go further past mayor, or do you have further aspirations of moving into larger government?
Well, he did say he's going to be my vice president. Like, what's your problem? Whose side are you on?
So other than being the Veep for I presume 8 years,
Don't encourage him.
when I was a kid, I had ambitions, to be the president, like Jay Zilla here. But the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that that's probably just not in the cards for me. And I've decided that you never know what the future holds. On the one hand, on the other hand, likely the case is that being the mayor of Clemmy, Tennessee is the highest office I'll ever hold. And so I've just decided that I'm going to be the best dadgum mayor that I can be while I have control. And, I think if I leave office looking back and never serving in any other elected position ever again, I can look back and think that time as mayor was successful and fulfilling personally and professionally, but more importantly, I left it better than I found it. And so that's the way I try to operate in this job. And that's how we're planning on leading things.
All right, man. I love it. So, okay, a few more questions. And I'm trying to be respectful of your time. We have some technical issues. So we'll get you out of here in just a moment. Football or basketball?
College or professional?
Ooh, both.
College football, professional basketball. I mean, what I mean by that is I like professional football, but I love college football. I like college basketball, but I love NBA basketball.
Fair enough. Bratz versus Barbie.
Barbie.
Oh, that's kind of an easy one. Let's toss up. Kool-Aid Jammers versus Capri Sun.
Capri Suns.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Jordan or LeBron?
That's not even a question. I mean,
don't try to filibuster this thing or weasel out.
I'm not gonna
Come on now.
Michael Jordan all day, every day.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Caitlin Clark or Miss Angel Reese?
I advise you not to answer that, Mayor.
I'm gonna plead the fifth of.
Okay, how about this? Tame or you?
I'm gonna plead the fifth.
Oh, come on! Who's the better baseball player?
I mean, you tell me. I don't know.
You always take yourself as my VP. I need you to exude nothing but confidence.
All right. I'll learn that.
We'll try again. We'll cut that out. Okay, producer. It's our secret. Who you got, Tame or yourself?
Myself, no doubt.
Hey, that's right, Tane. Suck it. No, sorry, that was bad language. Sorry about that. Okay, here's what we'll do. Anything to promote, anything that you want to say, we'll give you about 1 to 2 minutes, up to you. Yeah, just we'll give you your final word here.
Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me. I enjoyed being on the show, and I know y'all have folks who will watch this all across the world. Literally, this will be on the internet, so everybody will be able to see it. And so I will pretend as though some of your folks that are watching have never been to or even heard of Columbia, Tennessee. I hope they'll take a look, come visit us sometime. There's a lot of good things happening in Columbia, 40 miles south of Nashville, 40,000 people. Access to all things big city, but also far enough away to where you don't have some of the hustle and bustle and other things that come along with the big city. It's a great place to be. It's a great place to grow up, raise kids, have a family. There's so much positivity happening here. We're not perfect, but we never cease from trying to be perfect. We know we have our faults and we have our weaknesses, but we also have our strengths, and we know that we are united by those things that bring us together far more than what takes us apart. And I try to be a mayor for everyone, no matter who you are, where you are, who you came from, where you came from, how much money you have. I want to be a voice at City Hall that you can feel as though you have someone that is sticking up for you. I'm a younger mayor, the youngest mayor that this city's ever had. And so therefore I have a special obligation to younger people. In the state of Tennessee, we come generally in dead last when it comes to voting, participation, and turnout. And a lot of that is because young people don't vote. And, we talk about on this podcast about, the next generation stepping up to the plate and starting leadership roles. Well, if we don't start voting, then we're going to continue to have 80 and 90-year-olds in office, because they're going to continue to run and win because our generation is not participating in the process by either running for office or, even worse, by not even voting. And so that's something that I hope that your listeners will hear tonight is, look, if we want to start making a change, first thing we got to do is look in the mirror and make sure we're doing what we can do. And that begins with voting. So with that said, to sort of end it on Columbia again, Columbia's a great place. I'm proud to be the mayor of this place. It's a community I grew up in. And I tell my kids all the time, obviously I want to make Columbia great so that they'll want to move back here one day like me. But if they don't move back here, I want them to grow up in a community that they'll always be proud to call home and be proud to tell people that they're from Columbia, Tennessee, no matter where they may go. And I say that applies to everybody that's here now. So it's an honor. It's a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show tonight. And if you ever have any questions or want to follow up, just shoot me an email. Find me on social media. I'm on Instagram at Chaz Mulder, Facebook, Mayor Chaz Mulder. Give me a like and follow. I'll just give a little promotion for myself since you did the same at the top. And you can find me there. And I generally am able to respond pretty quickly.
All right. So I'm sorry. I was trying to be sneaky and write you a secret message. But go ahead and shout out the show name. Go ahead and tell your constituents to watch What the Frap.
Don't forget, tune in to What the Frap.
All right. Thank you so much to the mayor. Go ahead and hang out in the back room. Don't go anywhere just yet. Get you some cookies and juice and just make yourself at home. Thank you so much to the mayor of Columbia, Tennessee, which is get out there and vote. And he's too nice to say this as my vice president, but I'm going to tell you as your future president, stop complaining about the boogeyman. It's not your neighbors. It's not your wife. It's not your kids. It's not the system. It's not the man. It's you. Get your butts up and get some work done. Change. Be the change that you want to see. That's simple. If you don't like how the world looks, get your butts up and change it. Thanks for watching What the Frap. We'll see you next week. Peace.
At least 26 people have been killed.